Hey everybody, Ultimate Oddball here. Today I'm going to discuss representation versus objectification when it comes to autism and disability-related media. It's very common in popular media, whether news media, television shows, or film, for autistic people and disabled people in general to be objectified. Rather than being explored as human beings, the tendency is to present us as either one-dimensional sources of abstract inspiration or as tragic heroes deserving of pity. The very act of being kind to us is presented as behavior to celebrate, implying that basic decency towards disabled and/or autistic people is an act of courage and charity. Because of this dehumanizing narrative, we are stereotyped, viewed as inferior by large portions of society, and treated as less deserving of basic decency. I'm sure all of us are familiar with the news story which involves a disabled and/or autistic person being used as inspiration or pity. Many of these stories perpetuate the tragedy narrative, describing us as burdens and focusing mainly on how wonderful it is that people help us and are kind to us. Other stories celebrate our successes in what feels like an insincere, patronizing manner. They often contain ableist views involving negativity and stigma towards disability and autism, and are generally exploitative and perpetuate misconceptions and stereotypes. On top of that, these stories represent the vast majority of disability and autism representation in media, meaning they're the only perspective most people get on the subject. There's a similar issue in film and television. Writers are more than happy to borrow multiple traits and mannerisms which are textbook common in autism, but won't actually state that the character is autistic, hire an autistic person to play the character, or even consult with us for accuracy. And we autistic people have so little media representation that many of us end up identifying with characters who won't ever be called autistic in universe due to stigma and a lack of care for getting it right by the writers. This issue applies to disability as a whole also. Disabled characters are incredibly rare, especially in big budget films, but even rarer is for these roles to actually go to disabled people. The vast majority of disabled character roles go to able-bodied people. Representation is a fundamental issue. No one cares about or understands our stories in the manner we do. There is no other example of organizations, media, and the general narrative of an entire group being controlled by people who aren't a part of it. And yet, that is the case for disabled people and autistic people. We aren't considered or presented as equal human beings, only objects for pity and derision. Stories which abled people view and say, "Thank God I'm not disabled, I'd rather be dead," in response to. Stories which are not written to show us as human beings, but rather exploit us as tools for manipulating the emotions of the audience. Objects to get clicks. I won't support these stories anymore, and I hope you won't either. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks for coming by. Have a good day. Hey everybody, Ultimate Oddball here. If you want to stay up to date with my videos, click subscribe. I release a new video on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I do gaming commentary and review. I talk about my experiences on the autism spectrum, and I share my opinions and thoughts on a variety of matters. My hope is that, through my videos, I can help to dispel some of the misinformation, confusion, and negativity people have regarding autism. Thank you for helping me do that by watching these videos.